is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Mm-hmm. Dun, 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 dun. Nope.
Y'all, just stop. This is a sham. Welcome to DBL. I'm Jeff, here with Al, Erica, and Tori.
Yeah. I'm Tori.
Let's get started. What is this, season 1? All right, you put the names in the script. All right, so Amber Heard is not backing down from her claims that Johnny Depp physically abused her, even though a jury recently found those claims were defamatory. Here's what Amber told Savannah Guthrie.
Do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse?
Of course. To my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it.
This is in black and white. I understand context. But you're testifying and you're just telling me today, I never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did.
When you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't have the resources that, say, you or I do with the luxury of saying, hey, this is black and white.
First of all, great job, Savannah Guthrie, on kind of pushing back towards Amber Heard. That was just part 1, part 2's on. And I don't know. It was interesting. It's interesting. She's sticking to her guns for sure, Amber Heard.
She doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I mean, people feel like I feel some type of way about Amber Heard. I don't.
Do people think that? Do they respond to you?
People think I feel like I'm like I'm not thinking about her when I go home. I'm going to be honest.
You have a lot of stuff going on at your home. You're building things and doing stuff, but you're not thinking about Amber 24/7.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not.
if you say so.
I do think about her on the clock, though.
Yes.
On the clock, I'm required to think about her. And my thoughts are really just based on what the observation is. I keep saying, like, Judge Judy used to say this all the time, like, you have to come, if you don't come in with clean hands, then there's really no case for you, because you two wrongs, basically you're out wronging each other.
Right.
So I think that was kind of the fatal flaw for her throughout the whole thing, because her hands were never really clean, so we couldn't get to the root of what the accusation was in order to say that she either defamed him or she clearly did, according to the jury.
Yeah, just stop talking. Just stop talking. Because the more you do this, unlike murder, there is no double jeopardy in suing for defamation again. He can sue again because of this interview. The more you keep talking, the more he has against you if a jury has already found that he did not hit her and she defamed him. Yeah, stop talking.
That's the difficulty in something like this, though, because yes, I believe that it's a kind of general consensus that Amber was not being completely truthful, and this happened, the events unfolded how they did, and that's the result. But I think there are situations where somebody feels like they've lost a case and they were unjustly accused or unjustly convicted, and what's every movie say? Keep talking, keep saying your truth. Get up there, I don't care what that court said. And a lot of times the courts have been wrong. We have entire movies
then
about
appeal it, but don't go on Savannah Guthrie and say he did it again.
That's a better choice, but it's hard to tell people to speak their truth and not speak their truth at the same time.
That's very true.
Yeah. All right.
And then I was right on camera too. I was like, all right.
Al was making a point, it wasn't there. I'm talking to you, the American public. All right. So Lizzo changed a lyric in her new song Girls after some people in the disabled community said she used an offensive word. So the part of the song in question said, hold my bag, do you see this blank? I'm a spaz. And spaz is the word that we're talking about, not the blank word. For those who don't know, spaz is considered an ableist slur in some countries, including the UK. Here in the US, it generally means freaking out. Well, after the outcry from fans and disability advocates, Lizzo did respond, tweeting, I've had many hurtful words used against me, so I understand the power that words can have. I'm proud to say there's a new version of Girls with a lyric change. The new lyric is hold my bag, do you see this blank, hold me back.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. Like, you know, I'm all for that. But we still have a part of the song that's blank that we're not allowed to say on television. But a different word offends people. But if you're describing a word, you're not allowed to say that word on television.
That's it.
Do you see what I'm saying? The word spaz, it's like...
It means, by the way, it means spastic.
Means
and that's
spastic,
that kind of movement that a lot of people have, and it's very offensive to people who can't control, like a cerebral palsy type of situation. I just wanted to get the context.
Definitely, definitely. But we're giving words so much power is what I'm saying. But swear words we still can't say on television.
Well, some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then some of them depending on what time of day it is. So there's like all sorts of different rules based on, and then some of them depending on what network or what
Comedy
service you're
Central used to
watching.
have a secret stash vault, and they would show unedited Richard Pryor at like midnight. They can't do that anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
But like 2010, they used to show like live at the Sunset Strip.
Let's just keep it clean or clear. I can't drop an F-bomb right now.
Right.
Okay, but there's certain words that offend people that you're allowed to say, even if you're not offending someone. If I just use the word to describe a word, people still get offended, even though I'm not being derogatory in that word.
Your intent isn't derogatory.
I think that what we're talking about here is the number of people that are offended. I think Lizzo has a direct connection with her fans. She has a direct connection with abusive language. And this was the situation. I'm sure Lizzo has been told before, change this song or don't mention that person. And she did not. She stuck to her guns. But if there's a situation, there's been situations on this show where people have written in like, hey, that was hurtful or you were wrong about that. I'm like, thank you. Or I don't believe you're right. And here's a screenshot of why I don't think you're right. But she looked and she was like, this is wrong. I shouldn't have said this. I can fix this. Let me just clean this up and keep it moving. I think she just did that.
I think intention is everything when it comes down to it, because here is an artist who obviously is very proud of her work and her fans, which is very important here. The community that supports her is saying, this rubs us the wrong way. And as opposed to being like, well, why is it this? Nobody said this when it's that. Like, she has every resource to make it right for her fans. And that's what she did. I think this is a story because a lot of people are unwilling to do it because they feel like any type of criticism, to me, this is constructive criticism, is seen as they're less than, or people are coming down. For them. People aren't necessarily coming for you, especially if people who really either respect you or support you, they're probably doing you a solid. So this did not take a whole lot. She rectified it, and here we are.
I was going to say, we have one more beautiful thing, too. We're in the digital age, so you can alter that word.
Right.
And now, when you, even though the song is still on your Apple playlist, the different word will automatically be downloaded. So when you play it again,
it's quite easy to do.
Yes, definitely. I've had that with a couple songs, like hip hop songs that you can tell they've been sued for copyright, and they changed the beat a little bit. And it's the same song, but it's a different song, even though it's the same download. So she can change this really easily.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird that we'll talk about it in the break. Go to our YouTube page. We'll talk about it in the break. Because I'm just confused that aren't swear words offensive to some people? Does she need to take that out
I don't think swear words are calling out a certain group of people for their physical attributes. Like somebody called my mom a cripple once. That is specific because she can't walk and that hurt my feelings. An F-bomb to me is more generalized.
But I was told on this show I use the word crippling for my conversation. That's very crippling to my point of view.
Right.
And I'm not allowed to say that.
No, because that.
But I'm not talking about your mother. I'm not talking about how that word affects that community.
But that word
I'm
has
using
been
it in a
used.
different.
In historical context, that word has been used to go against people.
It's just if we keep taking away words, we're going to have none left. That don't offend somebody.
There will always be words, Jeff. There will always be words. We have to change. We have to be able to evolve.
To accommodate to every single person?
Well, yeah.
All the time? Yeah?
Well, a lot of the time, yes.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by...
This June, DBL isn't holding back.
I've already spent my time and all of my sanity on trying to make you happy.
I like a little cheese in my potatoes. That wasn't going on in my head.
That's what we need more of, conversations in this country.
Yeah, I like that. DBL is all new every day. All right, so we're continuing the conversation that we had. I disagree with Erica on this one because there's certain words that
we have to agree on every subject.
Words are taking out that I'm not allowed to say, right? And they're not even meaning what they're meaning, but they're offensive to somebody. You can't make everybody happy all the time. You're always constantly offending someone. But if you're a part of a certain community, you're allowed to say your words. I'm not allowed to say them. But if I'm part of this community, I'm not offending my community if I say them.
I think you're talking about two different things, to be quite honest.
Okay.
Because I think that the evolution of our lexicon in society is going to be constant and ever-changing. Like, we have so many words that we used, hundreds of years ago that absolutely are either underused or not even existing according to social norms, rules, standards, because as we know more or know better, we do better.
Right, and
but
I agree with that.
when you're talking about certain subsets of vocabulary, that's a different conversation, because when you're talking about people being marginalized based on an identification, a word use, then I do believe that that needs to be rectified. But I feel like people get upset about it because we don't understand how language has evolved. But language has evolved.
And I wonder here's my thing, how many people are offended, right, that are personally going through that and they're offended, right? Let's just keep the word spaz as our word. How many people that are offended by that word, or how many people just want to be offended by something and put that out there?
I think that there's a lot of energy that it takes to really be offended and combative for everything. However, this is a particular region it's in the UK. That word means something different. I would liken it to the R word.
The R word, yeah.
Right. So that's why.
But you're not even. Interesting convo at the break. Welcome back. What have you done for a paycheck? This right now. All right. If you're Tom Hanks, the Da Vinci Code franchise, that's what he did. The beloved actor told the New York Times that the popular films, which together made over $1 billion, were a load of, quote, hooey. I don't know if you could say that word anymore. Okay, but apparently he got to change his pants in front of the Mona Lisa during filming, which he says was an experience.
Yeah, those films were trash. They were great.
I love
them. They were beach reads. That's of course. That's what they were supposed to be. No one goes
What
to
do
the
you mean
bathroom.
trash?
So on certain books, like you read, they're called beach reads. No one has to use the bathroom. No one has to eat anything. They just go from one adventure to the other, and there's always something there. It's like a feel-good, no thought, interesting take on the Illuminati, but it wasn't Tom Hanks.
Please finish your cheese.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I had a bite of burrito right before. I apologize. But those were clearly not up to the Philadelphias and the Forrest Gumps of Tom Hanks' a resume, if you will. They were beach reads, but that's still fine.
But he hates it. I love the Da Vinci Codes.
It's weird when somebody comes out and talks about a project kind of dismissively that you loved. It's like, oh, I did that album because contractually I had to put out one more. You're like, that's my favorite album.
You have it tattooed on you.
Yeah, you feel bad. But yeah, I mean, at least he's being honest. Some things you do just for money. And as a comic, that's up. It's because you just know some gigs, Erica. You just know. You're like, okay, it's going to be a college. It's in the middle. You can't use this word. It's in the middle of the day at 11. You're like, oh, it's going to be bad. But
good money.
Where that money at? Let's go.
All right, well, speaking of Philadelphia, Tom is also opening up about another past role. He said his Oscar-winning portrayal of a gay man in the 1994 film Philadelphia wouldn't fly today. But he says, quote, one of the reasons people weren't afraid of that movie is that I was playing a gay man. We're beyond that now, and I don't think people would accept the inauthenticity of a straight guy playing a gay guy.
See, this is where duality of thought comes in.
I agree.
Because he is right on both fronts.
I agree.
He's right that at the time that Philadelphia came out, if a openly gay actor would have played that role, then people not only would have considered it a not mainstream
indie,
gay film, but the distribution would not have been the same. The support would not have been the same. But he's also right to say if an actor, a straight actor now is playing that role, then it should be questioned. And I think both of those things can exist. Yeah. It's like crazy, but they can.
But it's not crazy. I know you're being facetious, but it's not crazy because we evolve as people. So think about like the pushback.
That's the word evolve.
That Brokeback Mountain got when it came out, which was after Philadelphia with two straight actors playing gay men. And people were still like, for 3 years, every dude was like, oh, Brokeback Mountain. Like that was like, people could not handle it. I think if it came out now, everybody like, did you go see that? How was it? Cool.
I
Do you want to get some dinner?
Right.
Like we're over that. But when Brokeback Mountain came out, to our generation, it was groundbreaking. To my kids, especially when your kids are my kids' age, they're gonna be like, "What are you talking about? It's a movie, whatever."
But how about who's playing it? Does box office matter if you have a Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio?
It's just
a big box office name.
Yeah, I think it was what Erica's saying, and I completely agree with that. Is that he was a safe person to play that role and to give those great lines. And remember, Antonio Banderas played his lover in that role, another straight actor who played. He did a lot of gay characters back in, I think, South America. Antonio Banderas, but it's almost like the vehicle was okay because Tom Hanks was in it. If it wasn't at that point, then no one would go see it. I also just think, remember how everyone's so mad about woke? And I'm like, yo, this is woke. We woke up and thought perhaps we should have someone who's gay play a gay part because they would be a more fitting portrayal. That's what an evolved society is. I have zero problem with that. I'm okay
What if you were funding the movie and a gay actor wanted to play a very good actor, right? No, you didn't know the name though, and Leonardo DiCaprio wanted the same part. And you were funding the film.
In this social climate?
How would you handle that?
That's a very tricky thing, but I think it would be hard today to have a leading gay character not played by a gay man right now in this social climate.
I think now Leo DiCaprio's people might turn that down.
Yeah, I don't think it is a hard thing for a lot of people why they're creating what they're creating. I think they're creating it in a very intentional way, leaving room for exactly that conundrum that would have been something 10 years ago.
Absolutely. All right, coming up on DBL, the comedians from the Impractical Jokers are telling us how they're taking this season's pranks to a whole new level.
The Families First Coronavirus Response Act was passed in March of 2020, and it barred states from disenrolling people from Medicaid, even if they otherwise would have become ineligible. In return, states received expanded federal funding for their Medicaid programs. As federal pandemic programs start to phase out, some are wondering what's going to happen to Medicaid. Verify reader Thomas texted us asking, is Medicaid coming to an end in July? So Thomas, let's verify. Our sources are the Department of Health and Human Services, the Commonwealth Fund, a nonprofit with a focus on healthcare policy, the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, a nonpartisan research and policy institute, and the Urban Institute, a nonprofit research organization focused on advancing upward mobility and equity. We can verify, no, Medicaid coverage will not come to an end in July. But what should be ending on July 15th is the rule protecting expanded Medicaid coverage during the pandemic. But people who have Medicaid won't lose their coverage on that day. That's because HHS told states it would give them 3 months warning before ending it. And that deadline passed with no word from HHS. According to a September 2021 blog post from the Commonwealth Fund and a March 2022 blog post from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, once the public health emergency ends, states can begin to redetermine the eligibility of people enrolled in Medicaid. HHS has given states 14 months to complete that process. A September 2021 Urban Institute report estimated that states could disenroll as many as 15 million people during that period for a number of reasons, including an increase in income or administrative issues. So no, Medicaid is not ending in July, but states will be able to redetermine your eligibility once the public health emergency ends. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
The pranks never stop with the Impractical Jokers, and earlier we got to catch up with them to talk about their new season. It got funny. Take a look.
First of all, gentlemen, welcome to DBL. Y'all need to be here more often. Let's be real. Now, let's get right to the questions now. The pranks and the jokes must continue like off camera. So, Mur, what off-camera prank do you wish had been caught on tape? Because I'm sure there's a ton.
We just did it to Sal. A few weeks ago, the guys and I all go out to dinner. The bill comes. Sal excuses himself from the table to use the restroom. While he was in the bathroom, we split and left him with a $700 bill to pay by himself.
$700 though. $700. That's wrong.
Yeah,
that is wrong.
And which is really funny too is like you also had to get the tip. And because you were only paying by yourself, you had to really represent yourself with the tip well. It was great. It was perfect joke.
That's
perfect joke.
I always hope they don't recognize us at the restaurant because then that makes the tip go from like 30 to like 60%.
Yeah, you're gonna get TikTok like, look at this tip they left. Wow. Right.
Okay, well look,
Exactly.
I love Impractical Jokers, and I know that some people really aren't in the mood to play around with you guys. So Brian, what prank got the bystanders the angriest, and how do you guys diffuse the situation?
most of the times they look at it like, what is going on? Like, what is wrong with this guy? That being said, we did shoot way early on. Sal almost got beat up by an 80-year-old man on the TKTS line in Times Square in New York.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's nowhere to play.
I always have a very clear mental image of that old man grabbing the back of your neck and forcing you away from him.
Yeah. We were waiting on that line in Times Square where you wait for like the Broadway tickets day of.
Right.
And there's usually like 1,000 people online. And I just cut that line. This guy was a war vet, actually.
Yeah, he had been through it.
He just grabbed me by the neck and was like strangling me.
Did the producers run in?
I know The Lion King is great. I know The Lion King was a hot ticket, but really to choke someone over The Lion King, I don't see it.
I want to see My Fair Lady.
Fair's fair.
Yeah, fair's fair. Sal, you must get asked all the time about Murr marrying your sister, but we want to know, how would you rate him as a brother-in-law?
I, James Murray, take you, Sal's sister, to be my lawfully wedded wife. I take you for who you are.
They got me so good on that one because, oh my God, it was to this day I think it was one of the biggest productions we did. We had a church filled with 300 people. My entire family was there, all dressed up. My sister in a gown. They had blindfolded me and they took my blindfold off at the altar. I didn't know where I was going to be. And they made me really, I thought in that moment because they showed me the paperwork, that they really got married. And I was like, this is too far. Like, this isn't really that funny to me because I think it's going to be it's a mistake. But so it turns out they didn't send the paperwork in. But here's the thing: I am a licensed reverend. I'm a so I can marry people.
You could marry them,
and just to get them back afterwards. I almost just signed the paper and mailed it in just to get them back. Today it's one of my regrets. I should have married them without
that is hilarious.
We'd be great brothers-in-law, right? We could do cool brothers-in-law things together.
Exactly.
Spin-off
show, fellas. Yeah.
Drink some suds.
We could do that without being brothers-in-law.
Okay, let's talk about these new episodes of Impractical Jokers. For all of you, which celebrity guest was the most natural prankster?
Ooh. Wow. I mean, they were all so good. I will say the biggest surprise for me personally was Brooke Shields. Because she's not known for comedy.
Right.
And she came in, and I mean, you guys know what it's like when somebody comes in to play, you know what I mean? And Brooke came in and said, I know what I'm known for, you know, I know what I'm famous for. I don't want to do that. She was like, I'll do whatever you guys want. Play with my image. I'll do it all. And we took that and ran with it and tried to test her a little bit and push Brooke into new areas. And she was true to her word. Like, she went for everything. Wow. And turned out to be so good that she's the only celebrity this season that is in the entire episode. We were like, we want to just keep having fun with her because she was so open to it. Wow. So I would say for me, the biggest surprise in how funny she was Brooke Shields. Wow. I think she's going to blow a lot of people away with that episode.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, too, her and I are married now as well.
Breaking news on our show.
It's
That's
more
what
of
we
a
want.
punishment for Brooke.
Right. I guess you could say Brooke let her shields down.
Oh, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
Okay. Guys, we love talking to you.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to catch Sal, Brian, and Murray in new episodes of Impractical Jokers on True TV. Thanks, guys.
Y'all are amazing. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Getting from point A to point B costs a pretty penny. Add a pop tire on top of high gas prices, and your empty wallet might drive you straight home to stay parked all summer. You asked, so I verify what role heat plays in car care. Don't pump the brakes on summer car care just yet. Viewer Renee Register has a question. Her tire blew out and someone told her the heat on the roads might have caused it. Is that true? Let's roll toward the facts with an expert source, Cynthia Roy, owner of Roy's Automotive in Greensboro.
Not heat by itself. As we talked the other day about windshields, there's always going to be an underlying factor in conjunction with the heat to cause a problem.
The culprit, overinflation.
Once the tire gets rolling down the road, it builds up heat from the friction against the surface, which causes the air to expand even further, which causes more pressure on the tire, which eventually will cause a blowout, which a blowout is a sudden loss of air pressure from the tire.
The solution? Prevention with proper car care.
And we're going to find the valve stem and take the cap off, and it just unscrews. And then you take your gauge and you just press it down squarely and lift it up.
The magic number is 30 to 35 pounds of pressure. If you have too much, there's an easy fix.
You can flip the gauge around so that this end is up against it. Press it down, and that's going to let some air out.
Back to viewer Renee's question. Can heat on the roads cause a tire blowout?
We will probably never reach those temperatures anywhere on Earth.
So we'll deflate this claim as false, unless your tire just has too much hot air. And that's verified.
And our second source, Consumer Reports, suggests you check your tires monthly because they can typically lose up to 1 psi per month. Also, invest in a good tire gauge like a portable compressor. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
A new study shows most apps used by kids are collecting and sending personal data to advertisers. Let's connect the dots. Software company Pixelate released a new study saying over 2/3 of popular iPhone apps likely used by kids collect their data. For Android, that number jumps to nearly 80% of apps. All of that information could include location, your internet address, and even a code that can identify a child's device. There is a law designed to prevent all of this, called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. It prevents companies from gathering personal information for kids under 13. But app developers, they've found a way around it. The Washington Post reports developers offer kid-friendly content without labeling the app as a kid's app, and they never ask a user's age. In a separate study from London, one company found that by the time a kid reaches the age of 13, advertisers have already collected an average of 72 million data points on them. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back. With record-breaking temps on the rise, it's time for some DBL home tips presented by American Home Shield. Air conditioning can be costly, but we have some money-saving deals. 78 degrees is the sweet spot between staying cool and keeping your energy bill low this summer. It also recommended to set your thermostat to 88 degrees when you're away. When you're away, you should also avoid placing lamps and TVs near your thermostat. The heat from them can overwork your AC units by making them run longer than necessary. And remember, an American Home Shield home warranty plan helps cover many things homeowners insurance leaves out, like breakdowns of major components of home systems and appliances, so you can rest easy knowing you're ready for whatever breakdown strikes next. Visit ahs.com to find a plan that's right for you. What's your sweet spot, E?
69.
I said the same number. I swear, I said the exact same number.
Yeah, that's our number.
That's my number
the number
too.
we agree on.
I'm a 71.
I understand where that joke could go. Yeah.
I like it low, 66. Yeah, I like it low.
71.
71. You win. All right, see you tomorrow.